Smoked pork belly burnt ends, pork belly BLTs, and it just keeps getting better. Maple thyme old fashions. All right, guys, we got our whole pork belly out, and this is my preference on how to cook it. We're gonna cut out the middle. We're gonna use the middle part for pork belly BLTs. The reason being is the middle has the best meat to fat ratio compared to the sides. The end parts is what we're gonna dice up and make burnt ends out of. We'll set this guy aside and we'll start cubing these up. All right, guys, so for the middle section of the pork belly, what I'm gonna use for my BLTs, we're gonna use a binder of some hot sauce. I have Frank's Red Hot and mustard, and I'm using Grey Poupon. Just a little bit. Hot sauce. A little bit more on this side. There we go. And then I like to season with, this is eventually gonna be the cap side up, so I like to season with that down first. And I have a Texas style rub here. I've used it a lot in videos before. It's 2 parts black pepper, 1 part salt. And then I come back and add whole granulated garlic, some onion powder, some paprika to it. I love it. I love the coarse grain for certain foods like this when we're barbecuing. There you go, nice even coats. Let's flip it. Cool, now that I have it all seasoned up, my glove's still on, I have my rub out, let's hit the burnt ends parts too. That's all mixed up. We're gonna throw our pork belly on the grill now and start the smoking process. With the burnt end pieces, we're just gonna lay them out on a sheet tray with the fat cap up on top of a rack. That way, as it keeps rendering down when they smoke, it'll collect most of that fat. All right, let's throw this on the grill. I'm just gonna set it like this off to the side with the pork belly right there. We're gonna do 225 high level smoke for about 4 to 5 hours. After the first hour, we're gonna start spraying it. Now my spray mixture is gonna be maple syrup. For the glaze, we need about 1 cup. For the spritz, we need about 1/3 of a cup. Finish up the spritz, we'll do the same amount of cider vinegar, 1/3 of a cup bourbon. Now, like I said, guys, after it gets a bark on it about an hour, hour and 15 in, we're gonna start spraying every 45 minutes with this until it's done. Now for the glaze, we have our 1 cup of maple syrup. We're gonna add 2.5 teaspoons of sambal, a couple drops of liquid smoke, and a couple drops of maple extract straight to it. Get our brush ready, save that for later. The last thing we have to do is just a little bit of smoked thyme for our simple syrup. So I'm just gonna grab a little bushel of thyme, a nice piece of butcher's twine. This doesn't have to be fancy, we're just gonna do a little bit of a knot, tie a bow. I feel like my hands are really cold, so I'm tying a knot like I'm in kindergarten. So we're gonna save this for later. So everything's prepped and ready. We just have to give the pork belly a couple hours. We'll start spraying it. We'll start glazing it. We'll add our smoked thyme. We'll mix up our simple syrup later. We'll have the most amazing spread if you're entertaining someone. Little pork belly BLTs, pork belly bites, the best smoked thyme maple old fashioned. Give it a minute. All right, guys, the burnt ends are done. The pork belly itself is done. Our smoked thyme, that's done. Let's pull it all out and make a drink and some hors d'oeuvres. Let's let it rest. It's a little bit cold outside. We'll put it inside so it rests more even. And then we can make our simple syrup for the old fashioned. So I have a little cast iron right here. We're gonna make our simple syrup really fast. I'm gonna start out with our little bushel of smoked thyme that we have. It's 1/3 cup of water right there. 2/3 of a cup of maple syrup. And all we're gonna do is just add this in and get it some heat so it all binds together really well. Just a little simmer, just like that. We're gonna take it off. I have a little mason jar here so I can save it for later. And that's it. And once it cools, you just leave a lid on it and keep it in your fridge and save it for later. All right, guys, let's make it old fashioned. I have a rocks glass right here. I'm gonna start out with my orange. See, I already made a couple. We're gonna take a nice little orange peel. I'm gonna rub it on the rim and then reserve it. And I'm gonna start out with my simple syrup, maple thyme, smoked simple syrup. We're gonna do a teaspoon right in our glass. About 3 or 4 shakes of bitters right in there. We're gonna do 2 ounces of bourbon. So 1, it's 1.5 ounces filled up. Just do a little bit. There you go. Give it a stir. We've got a fancy stir stick. You don't have to be fancy. Maraschino cherry. No, I know they're not Luxardo cherries, but it's what I have, and Luxardos can be really expensive if you're just doing a couple of these. Let's run this through. Ice block, obviously, because it's an old fashioned. Just throw that right in there. A little bit of garnish right on top, just like that. Cheers. Oh, that's really good. Which is why I made it. I knew it was really good, but it's really good. Okay, let's toast up some bread, make a sandwich, and taste some pork. So you take like a toothpick. I like to do a little bit of an angle like this, because then when you put it on the plate, it can angle out. Just like this, really simple. And then, you know, let's taste one. Oh, really good. I love that. Really simple way to use the end of the pork and then to make burnt ends and then to smoke them out, get them all done, have them on a plate, just little bite-sized morsels. They were really good. So I have some toasted bread here, spread a little bit of mayonnaise on it, and what we're making is like a BLT, but with the pork belly. There's a crispy little burnt end chunks right there. Maybe we'll snack on these. Oh. We're gonna add the pork belly down kind of like bacon strips. Some romaine right there, a little bit of tomato. Super simple, guys. Super, super simple. Make some really amazing like finger sandwiches. And you can cut the bread different. You can make rectangles. You can do no crust, but that's ridiculous, however you want. But people show up and you're having a party, you're entertaining, and you have pork belly BLT bites and pork belly bites like this, and you're hanging out with old fashions made from smoked thyme maple syrup, and it all matches because you've been spraying your pork belly with bourbon all day. It's amazing. How do people not love you for that? Try this recipe at home in all of its glory, because if you're making a full slab of pork, you can make multiple things with it. And entertain. Invite people over. Have people for New Year's and try it. It's awesome. Thanks. See you later. Now my spray mixture, which we're gonna make here in a second, is gonna be 1 part bourbon, 1 part apple cider vinegar, and 1 part something else. We're gonna make a glaze too, and at the very end we're gonna toss the pork belly bites, the burnt ends, in the glaze. What was that?
It was a bird.
Was that a bird?
It was teeny.
It was white. Okay.